But I am pleased to be here today, and like I said, I'm not far from home, just over in West Point. Kind of been a bulldog all my life. My father was a bulldog, my son was, and I'm sure our grandson. In fact, our first grandson will be here this fall. He lives in Nashville, but he'll be here at Mississippi State and hopefully be in the honor school. So, and I think George III, hopefully he'll be here in about 10 years, something like that. But my career really started in the food business. I grew up in the food business and spent 38 years in the meat business. I did developments also along the way in Tennessee, Mississippi, in Utah, and of course Old Waverly is a development, and then got in the golf business. And along the way, my wife and I have 4 children and 15 grandchildren. So we've been pretty busy life for the last many years. Our family migrated into Mississippi, as you were talking about, John, in the early 1800s. On my mother's side, my father's side, migrated into Mississippi in the 1850s. So I'm part Delta Steve and part hill country. And I say that's why I'm ambidextrous. I got both sides. Steve's back here, and I'm good to see him here. He's Mississippi's music ambassador, and he's going to be here tonight, and great man. And he's going to be helping us in several months at the U.S. Women's Amateur that we're hosting at Old Waverly. My grandfather was in the meat business. He started a meat market in 1905 in West Point, Mississippi. Our family came from Scotland and Ireland. My father and uncle started a meat business in 1936 in West Point, and we merged in 1968 with Sara Lee Corporation. So I worked in the corporate world for 34 years on the food side. If you don't know who Sara Lee was, it's not just the bakery. A lot of people think it's the baked goods, but we had a lot of brands. We were a branded, diversified company. We owned products like Jimmy Dean Sausage, Hillshire Farm, Ballpark Hot Dogs. We owned Coach Leatherware. We owned Haynes Corporation, Legs Corporation. We had a lot of different brands all over the United States and in Europe, and we had 26 meat plants in Europe, which I visited quite often. My brother John was the chairman of Sara Lee for 28 years, and under his leadership, we grew the business from $1.5 billion in 1975 to $22 billion when we retired in 2002. He was a great leader in the business world. And the way I got in the golf business, my father in 1958 built the first 9-hole course along with some friends over in West Point, and I learned to play golf there as a young teenager. And so thus started the idea to build a golf course 30 years later, which we opened, called Old Waverly. I didn't know that at the time, that we might do that. And it's an interesting story. In 1982, we went to the state legislature to try to build a state park course here in Mississippi. There were none at that time. And we approached them and did a feasibility study on the idea to build a course out on the river it was a state park facility. And the facility panned out where it said it would work, you should do that. When we went back to the legislatures, they said, well, the problem is if we build one up there, we got to build them all over the state, So they kind of axed the idea, and of course, 6 years later, the state of Alabama built the trail system, which are 11 courses over there. We were a little bit ahead of the time, but it didn't work out. So after that, after 82, 83, we brought together 30 founders in the Golden Triangle, and we came up with the idea to build a course in West Point, and we named it after the Waverly Mansion, which was built in 1852. Today we have 750 members from 21 states as members of our club. And then in 2012, we began to think about building another course. We wanted a link-style course versus a parkland. Waverly is what you call a parkland golf course. It's a residential course with almost 200 homes around it. So we wanted to build a different kind of course across the street, and we acquired 182 acres, and built a minimalist golf course. A minimalist golf course is one where you move very little of the earth. You just go in and take the natural landscape and you design and build a golf course that really flows with the land. In fact, we move no dirt, so to speak, to shape other than the tees and the greens. Everything, the landscape is pretty much. And that's the way they built courses in the early 1900s, because they didn't have all the equipment to go move a lot of dirt, so they just built them naturally. Well, we're going back to that today. We're going back to building those same kind of courses. And the property that we acquired was a dairy farm. It was an old dairy farm. And the old barn was still there, and you can see it today as the golf course kind of rolls through the hills over there. But we opened it in 2016. It is open to the public. Waverly is a semi-private club. And we decided to partner with the Mossy company. Those of you that have any knowledge of hunting and fishing, Mossy is the largest lifestyle brand outdoor company in America. They have about 55% of the market of that. They are headquartered in West Point. They were founded there. The father worked for us in the meat industry. The son came out of Mississippi State and worked for us 3 years, and then he came with the idea to build this Mossy brand, and he's built it into really a world company today that's growing in there. So we partnered with them on building the new course. And the way we talked to them, 80% of golfers, it's probably not as high today, do other outdoor activities. They play golf in the season, and then they hunt and they fish in the off season. So it's a natural fit for us to be with them. We call it nature's golf, and we are currently building that business. I'm going to talk a little bit about the golf industry because you might be interested in that, the size of it, the magnitude of it, the number of people that work in it. And then my partner, Doug Dowdell. Doug has been working with us. He's been a friend of mine. He worked for Georgia Pacific for many years, led some businesses with them in Atlanta. And he and I have been friends for a long time. He's been helping me on various projects. And one is how to get into the digital age, how to bring business in on social network, et cetera, et cetera. And he's going to talk a little bit about that after I step aside. But there are 25 million golfers in America. There are 5 million that play some, that have knowledge of golf, that may go to a business like Topgolf. Some of you may know what that is. You may not. It's in the major cities, but it's a kind of a new revolution in golf in 20 or 25 cities today. It's a family experience where you can go take your family and hit balls and practice and do things and have a social atmosphere. And it's been very successful. We believe it is helping golf because golf has gone through some transition period over the last 20, 30 years, but we do believe Topgolf is helping bring more golfers back. There are 3 million what we call destination golfers. These are the golfers who travel around the United States and they play different golf courses. And these are the ones that we're after. We're trying to find them, get them to come to our location. And so we're working very hard on that. So that's kind of the $64,000 question. How do you get some of these 3 million golfers coming in to play here in a somewhat remote area? I don't think this is remote personally because I grew up here and only lived in Memphis and here, but to a lot of people it is remote. And so how do we get them here? And a lot of it is transferring a lot of this to social media, and this is something I didn't grow up in that era. I grew up in a totally different era. We still talk to a lot of people that call us about coming, but there is a lot going on that Doug's better qualified to talk about that. But the golf industry is a $35 to $40 billion industry. There are 2 million employees in the golf industry. This is from maintaining golf courses to working in them to working in golf shops. There are 2 million people. And a lot of these people have come out of Mississippi State. The agronomy school out of Mississippi State has sent a lot of people to the golf industry, and a lot of great people. You can't go anywhere in the country, and I go and play and travel, that I don't see somebody that went to state that's a great agronomist and understands the business. So there are too many employees, and now I'm going to bring up Doug, let him talk about it there. The golf industry over the last kind of 30 years, and Doug we were talking about this earlier, it started out in 1990, there were 24 million golfers. It went up to probably 28 to 30 million. It's now back down to about 21 million. You know, when the recession hit, the Great Recession of 6, 7, 8, and 9, it did take, but we're still leveled off at about where we were in 1990. The NGF, who's the National Golf Foundation, they made some mistakes in 1990, thinking that we needed to build 5 golf courses a week for the next 10 years to meet with demand. And they thought a lot of women, females, were going to come into the market and play golf. Well, a lot of women are going to work. They couldn't play golf. They had to go to work and two household family working, and so that really skewed the numbers away from what they thought was going to happen. But we do think we're in a healthy industry now. We've got a lot of things. We got some positives. We got some negatives too. The demographics of the aging population is hurting us in some areas, but I'm going to let Doug explain that a little bit more, and then I'll just close with a few things after that. Doug?
Thanks, George. It's an honor to be on stage here with George Bryan. He's truly a Mississippi legend in my mind, and hopefully in many of yours. He's done some wonderful things. He's very humble, but what he's done for golf in Mississippi and frankly in the U.S. is sort of unprecedented. And he's not one to ring his own bell, but it's quite an honor to be here with him. I'm just going to briefly talk a little. Nah. You can pay me later. Just talk a little bit more about the statistics and the challenges that we have and how we're going to go about getting more golfers to Old Waverly and to Mississippi and to Mossy Oak, and how we can be successful not only in the near term but really long term. You know, the good news is there's 100 million Americans in the past year that either played golf, watched golf on TV, read a book about golf, or had some interesting thing that they participated in some manner about golf. So that's really about 1 in every 3 U.S. household that are involved and know something about golf. You break that down further, there's 32 million total golfers. As Mr. Bryan said, 25 of them only play on a golf course. Well, there's another 7 or 8 million that actually now play what we call off-course golf. That's on a computer, that's at Top Golf, that's these unique new entertainment facilities. Also, the good news is in 2017, there were almost 3 million new golfers that came out. So on-course golfers. So that's more than a 10% increase of the real golfers out there playing courses. And the largest age group bracket today is in the 18 to 34 year group. That's a good and that's bad. The good is there's a lot of people there of golfers. There's about 8 million golfers there. However, as you know, with people of younger age, for whatever reason, these devices seem to take up a lot of our time, or their time, or our kids' time, or our grandkids' time, and they want to do everything here. And golfers that are 50 years and older, average playing, that are really true golfers, believe it or not, they play 39 rounds of golf a year. 39. In this younger age group, this 18 to 34, it's more like 12 rounds. So as our aging, as many of us get older, you know, we're going to be gone, and we need people to come along that's going to play more golf. So we've got to reach out and do a lot of things different. In the U.S., there are 456 million rounds of golf played a year. 456 million. And there are 15,000 golf courses. So what is our challenge? Our challenge is to bring those, even a small percentage of those 24 million to West Point, Mississippi, to play two of the finest world-class courses in the world. Waverly has always been in the top 100 courses in the U.S., and in 2017, the new course, Mossy Oak, was ranked the third best new course in all of the U.S. in 2017. And just recently, it was added to the overall top 100 modern courses in the U.S. But we are a small facility, very small, and we're out competing with big corporate golf corporations with very large marketing budgets. For instance, Troon Golf owns or manages 300 golf courses. Can you imagine how they can spread their cost over many, many courses and do social media and do everything that they need to do marketing, whether it's hard form or the internet, et cetera, apps, websites. I mean, that's who we're competing against. So we're competing against some just tremendous companies. Club Corp owns or manages over 200 golf courses. Billy Casper Golf, 150 golf courses. Kemper Sports, 134. So how do we have to be smarter. We have to be quicker. We have to be nimble. And we have to be on the edge of the digital transformation right now. That's really what we've got to do. Targeting our marketing and what we're doing, frankly, is a way where we are really building a very clear database. Rosemary Prescott, who is here, is our member director. And what she really does is builds a very elaborate, detailed database of everyone that ever plays golf at Old Waverly, and then also expanding beyond that, all out into the southeastern U.S., golf travelers all over North America. We have to continually update what we're doing. We have to continually find people change their phone numbers, they change their email addresses, they do other things. We're certainly on the verge of coming out with new apps. We have a good website. It needs to improve tremendously. We have to do more in social media, even though we are on, to a degree, on Instagram and Twitter and email, of course. But what we have to do is build a close relationship with our customers. We have to be able to penetrate and know what people want. You have to be able, in this day and time, customize to certain age groups, to certain people. You have to know who are your big spenders, what are they doing, what do they want, what do they not want. And how about those members that aren't coming? Why are they not coming? And one way of doing that and improving our results is through an ERP system, like an enterprise resource planning system. And the good news is, because of new technology, there are a number of systems out there. And at Old Waverly, we use one called Jonas. And so what you're able to do there, and while they've been using it for some time, we've got to get even better at it. It has, your sales in it. It has your finance and accounting. It has your food and beverage. It has your tee times in it. You can have your member information in it. And then the next step beyond that is integrating that into our complete membership database where we can then do surveys. Hey, how was your meal last night? How was it last week? What's going on? What can we do to help you? Here's what's going on at the club. So really, with all that, what we're trying to do is really 4 key things through our social media program and all of our marketing, and that's to attract new golfers, increase the number of golfers that will travel and come to West Point, Mississippi, because about half of our business is destination golf, and the other half is membership, people that come there and pay and are members at Old Waverly. The next thing that we're trying to be sure we do is retain the golfers we have. We've got to be sure we execute with the people that are there every day and they feel good about the club. And then, as we have people in front of us, we have to increase our transaction value for every customer. Not only are you trying to sell a round of golf, you need to be selling some golf balls and some golf gloves and some equipment, et cetera, because this all is really necessary in today's market. It's really a tough market out there. Costs continue to go up and up and up. And when you go through like 3 months we've just been through where the weather is just terrible and it rains every day, you don't have a lot of revenue. So you got to bridge through some tough times. You've got to, the 4th thing we've got to do is increase the golf frequency. We've got to figure out how it can be more fun for families, for people that can come out and do more and spend more and stay more often. And then thirdly, sort of the digital revolution that's going on all over the U.S. and everywhere and in the world, what we've got to do is figure out how we can be on that leading edge. For instance, today, you can't get on your app on the golf course and order a cheeseburger and have a drone deliver it to you. But I'm going to tell you, that is coming. It is coming soon, and some people are already experimenting with it. And that's where we at the Golf Clubs of Mississippi want to be. We want to be on the leading technology. The other things that are going to be happening digitally as it relates to the operations on a golf course, it won't be long that robots will be cutting the grass all night. They don't get tired. They're not sleepy. You don't have to pay them overtime, but I assure you that is all moving in that direction. They'll be raking the bunkers, and I don't mean these monsters, but very efficient, cost-efficient manners. We're going to have to do that to survive and to thrive and grow a business. So please come out to Mossy Oak, two of the finest, Mossy Oak and Old Waverly, two finest courses in America as far as I'm concerned. They're certainly my favorite, and I've enjoyed being there. George?
Thanks, Doug. Doug is a war eagle. He's from another land grant institution in Alabama, but he's a good friend and a good war eagle. He's got his master's from Auburn, and he's been a big help to us and a great friend. I just want to mention one other thing. We are hosting the U.S. Women's Amateur this summer at Old Waverly from August 1st through the 10th. It will be 16 hours of national television. We've hosted a lot of events there. We hosted the Women's Open there in 1999, and we had 125,000 people there that week. We broke the record, but they gave it to Colon, Wisconsin for political reasons, I guess. But this is not as big a crowd event, but it is a nice event for us. There'll be a lot of coverage there. The USGA is in charge of this event. There'll be 160 players from all over the world coming in here. We're having a big event over here at Mississippi State on August the 3rd with Mr. Azar performing, and we're looking forward to that. But we hope you'll come over. You'll be seeing a lot about it over the next couple of months. But thanks for your attention, and come see us when you can. Thank you.